You are Joe Castillo. Is it Jose Castillo?
So, Jose,
Castillo, you're charged with reckless driving. You're facing up to 30 days in jail and or a $500 fine. We are going to do probable cause. You have the right to remain silent. Anything you say can or will be used against you. You have the right to have an attorney present. If you cannot afford one, one will be appointed to you, sir.
thank you, Your Honor. On April 23rd, 2025, in Harris County, Texas, a law enforcement officer observed a vehicle going 77 miles per hour in a 35 mile per hour zone via radar detection and weave in and out of lanes around 4 vehicles, nearly causing a crash. The law enforcement officer briefly lost sight of the vehicle, but found the vehicle parked sideways in a driveway close by. The defendant was still inside the vehicle and admitted to being the driver.
Let's be honest. Telling a judge you were only doing 60 in a 35 doesn't really help your case. In fact, it sounds more like admitting the violation, just with a bit of attitude attached. In a courtroom, statements like that rarely work as a defense. Instead, they can signal to the judge that the seriousness of the situation isn't being fully recognized, which can influence decisions about bond conditions and how strictly the court handles the case.
Stated he was only going 60 miles per hour.
Okay. Mr. Castillo, I'm going to find that there's sufficient probable cause to go forward with the case. You run his license, please.
Yes, Your Honor.
You are not allowed to drive unless you have a valid Texas driver license and liability insurance in your name. Do you understand? That is a condition of your bond. I'm now also ordering you not to drive in a reckless manner, not to participate in any street takeovers, racing, anything of this nature. And if I find you do, I will put you in jail. No more PR bonds. Do you understand?
Sure. It's other way, Your Honor.
How old are you, sir?
18.
What do you do for a living?
I work in a warehouse.
Okay. Do you have the ability to hire a lawyer? Do you want a court-appointed lawyer?
I'm gonna request a attorney.
Okay. I need you to fill out an application for me. Deputy Miranda is going to give an application. I'm going to have you go to Victoria, sign and reset, and then I'm going to have you take a seat in the jury box. Do not leave until you sign all our bond conditions. You understand? Come on. Do you mind filing those conditions, please?
Yes, Your Honor. That'd be no reckless driving and no driving.
Same
without
as-
a valid license.
And then, no racing, street takeovers, donuts.
Yes, Your Honor.
You're Alexa Mendoza. Ms. Mendoza, you're charged with driving while intoxicated. You're facing up to 6 months in jail and or a $2,000 fine. We are going to do probable cause. You have the right to remain silent. Anything you say can or will be used against you. You have the right to have an attorney present. If you cannot afford one, one will be appointed to you.
Thank you, Your Honor. On April 23rd, 2025, law enforcement officers were dispatched to a traffic collision in Harris County, Texas. The officer observed the defendant's motor vehicle on the fixed rail tracks impaled to the LRV. The law enforcement officer opened the door to check on the defendant, the sole occupant of the vehicle, and observed the defendant to be impaired. The law enforcement officer observed glossy eyes and slurred speech, and the defendant stated she left a bar where she had 8 to 10 drinks of tequila and was on the way to a concert. Standard field sobriety tests were conducted. A 6 out of 6 was reported on the HGN. The law enforcement officer notes that the defendant threw up during the HGN. The walk and turn was a 4 out of 8, and the one leg stand was a 3 out of 4. The defendant was ID'd by her Texas driver's license, and the defendant consented to a breath test yielding a .137 and a .123.
Any prior DWIs?
No, Your Honor.
License?
Check that.
Ms. Mendoza, I'm going to find that there's sufficient probable cause to go forward with the case. I'm ordering you now as a condition of your bond not to consume alcohol, illegal drugs, unprescribed controlled medication. You will be randomly tested. If you test positive, your bond will be revoked, so you'll go into custody. You understand?
Yes.
You are not allowed to drive unless you have a Texas driver license and liability insurance in your name. As long as you have those, you may continue to drive. Just don't use. Do you understand?
Yes, sir.
It is awful, Your Honor.
Great. Because you have a lawyer, I will waive your appearance, but you must stay in touch with them and they'll tell you if and when you have to come back to court. For now, we'll have you go to Victoria, sign a reset. You'll get with Roxanne for your bond conditions and then you're free to go.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Thank you. Good morning, Mr. Royalty.
Yes, sir.
Sir, you're charged with driving while intoxicated. You're facing up to 6 months in jail and or a $2,000 fine. We're going to do probable cause. You have the right to remain silent. Anything you say can or will be used against you. You have the right to have an attorney present. If you cannot afford one, one will be appointed to you, sir.
Thank you, Your Honor. On April 24th, 2025, law enforcement officer was dispatched to a Shell gas station in Harris County, Texas. Upon arrival, the officer observed the motor vehicle to have crash damage and to be disabled and inoperable. The law enforcement officer observed the defendant sitting in the driver's seat. The law enforcement officer observed constricted pupils, slow speech, and unsteady balance. The defendant stated that he was driving his vehicle before the accident and that he does not know what he wrecked into. The defendant stated he did not know where he was coming from before the crash. The defendant stated he consumed one alcoholic beverage. He also stated that he inhaled nitrous oxide approximately 20 minutes before the crash. Standard field sobriety tests were conducted. A 0 out of 6 was recorded on the HGN, a 3 out of 8 on the walk and turn, a 2 out of 4 on the one-leg stand. The law enforcement officer observed an empty bottle of vodka on the driver's side floorboard, an empty vodka bottle inside the center console, and a half-empty beer in the back seat. The law enforcement officer observed 3.3 liters of space gas containers of nitrous oxide and 14 1-liter nitrous oxide containers. The defendant is a registered owner of the motor vehicle. The defendant agreed to a breath test strip. However, the law enforcement officer notes that there was an interferent error and the breath test was unable to be collected. The law enforcement officer called for a drug recognition expert who completed an evaluation. The drug recognition expert stated the defendant is under the influence of cannabis and is unable to operate a motor vehicle safely. The defendant consented to a blood test and a sample was collected.
Okay. Mr. Royalty, I'm going to find that there's sufficient probable cause to go forward with the case. I'm ordering you now as a condition of your bond not to consume alcohol, illegal drugs, unprescribed controlled medication, and that includes nitrous oxide, whippets, anything of this nature. Do you understand?
Yes, sir.
If I find that you use, I will revoke your bond, put you in jail. No more PR bonds. Any priority to BIs?
No priority to
License?
eligible.
And you may continue to drive as long as you have a license and liability insurance in your name. If you don't have either, then you're not allowed to drive. Do you understand?
Yes, sir.
Do you have the ability to hire a lawyer?
Yes, sir.
Okay. I can have you fill out an application. We'll take a look to see whether you qualify. I need to know everything about you, how much money you have at the bank, what you do for a living, what kind of car you drive, how much money you have coming in, and I'll take a look to see whether you qualify. Deputy Miranda is going to give you the application. I'll have you sign a receipt with Victoria, and then we'll have you take a seat in the jury box, sir. Sir, please. Why does this keep happening? Over and over and over. Why does this keep happening? How many cases did you have last year, Mr. Addison?
I have quite a few, sir.
Now it pled on the 17th of December, and not 3 weeks later, you have now another criminal trespass. How do we stop this from happening?
I need to leave Texas.
No, we don't want you to leave Texas, but we want this to stop happening. Why would I keep doing this?
Officers don't like me out there, man. They be harassing me. They beat me up. They assaulted me. They put me in the hospital. They tried to kill me.
So why go back?
What do you mean?
Why go back to the same location over and over if you know that they're going to beat you up?
I'm in the state of Texas, not just this area. The state of Texas, the laws don't like me. The police don't like me, sir.
That's baloney because you're a likable guy. We all like you, Mr. Addison. You seem like a stand-up guy. You're nice, but you keep going back. Why would I keep doing this?
Looking deeper, the situation feels like a repeating pattern. Multiple cases, the same courtroom, the same judge seeing the same name come back again and again. At some point, what once may have been met with patience or understanding starts to wear thin. Courts often give opportunities to change course, but when the same behavior keeps returning, the question becomes whether anything can finally break that cycle.
We hit you with the time served. We let you out. 2 weeks later, you pick up a new case. And it's been like that for the last damn year. Where's your family? Who do you have in your life?
I don't have nobody in my life, sir. All my family is dead. My twin just died not too long ago.
You got no kids?
But they grown, yeah, but I can't find them.
Why not?
because their mother hid them from me.
You ever tried to find him?
Yes,
How?
through the internet. Through the internet, sir.
I don't know, Lori. We're doing the same shots over and over and over. And last year, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 cases just last year. You pled at the end of December. January, you've got a new case. We let you out. You took off on us 2 more times. And the only reason we have you now is because you picked up an interference. And now we're doing the same thing over. I'm not going to do this. I'm done, Mr. Adson. I'm not going to continue to do this. Plead you to the time served in hopes that you're going to go out there and not do it. No, it's not going to happen. We need to figure something else out. Thank you. That's very sweet. But I'm not going to do this. We need to do what I'm going to do now, what's called a TRAS, to see how we go forward. Because I don't know enough about you and what's going on in your life to figure out how we go forward so you stop picking up criminal cases. I told you that many moons ago that I'm going to stop doing this. And now is the time. I'm not doing it, Ms. Addison. We will set this case for a TRAS. I'm going to try to expedite to get it done as fast as we can. I'm done. What I'd like to do, and the hope is that somehow you, me, and Lori can figure out what kind of family you have in the United States so that we can get you somewhere where you stop getting in trouble. But it's not working what we're doing. And I'm not going to continue to, this is not a revolving door. Do you understand, sir?
Yes, yes, Your Honor.
That's what we're going to do. So Lori, I'm sorry, but let's set it for a TRAS and we'll come back next week. Lori, Mr. Bueno, Lori, you're charged with driving while intoxicated. You're facing up to 6 months in jail and or a $2,000 fine. You have worked out an agreement. They're offering you 3 days in jail, credit for the 2 days that you've done. You need to understand that this charge is going on your record. It will be there for the rest of your life. Next time you get pulled over, if you have any kind of funky smell, it's probably not going to go well for you because the first thing officers do, they look at your record. Do you understand?
Yes, sir.
You're giving up the right to a trial, right to compel witnesses to testify on your behalf, confront and cross-examine your accusers. If you're not a citizen, there are possible immigration consequences. You can be deported, excluded from the country, denied naturalization. You give up the right to appeal. So once you plead guilty, you can never change it. So you didn't want to do PTI.
Judge, we discussed it and he couldn't get the character letters together and
It's a damn shame, Mr. Bueno, because I'm going to tell you, you had the ability to get this thing dismissed. Now you're pleading guilty to this. One day you're going to look back and say, why didn't I take the time to get it done? This will affect you for the rest of your life.
it's possible.
I'm not, no, you're now at 200 days. You've done nothing. No, you've had plenty of time to get it done, not on the day of when you're set to plead. The other thing is this, Mr. Bueno.
Then comes the warning that carries real weight. The judge makes it clear that the next violation won't just bring another lecture. It could mean at least 30 days behind bars. That isn't casual advice. It's a clear line being drawn. The immediate penalty in a DWI case might seem short-term, but the record that follows can last much longer, affecting jobs, housing, and future opportunities long after the courtroom lights turn off.
I'm going to tell you that if you come back here with another DWI, it is a minimum of 30 days in jail for anything that you pick up. Not only that, if you continue to endanger the community, a second DWI, it's a $6,000 surcharge. So get ready. If you want to get lit, take find another way. Uber, Lyft, whatever it may be. How do you plead to the offense? Guilty or not guilty?
Yes, sir.
I'm going to find you guilty. I will send it to you to the agreement. I'm going to suspend your license for 90 days, sir. Do not drive until you get a license. Good luck.
Would you be willing to waive the DPS fine?
Yeah.
Thank you, Judge.
Hi, Stacy.
Good morning, Judge.
You do this ahead of time. It's a pre-signed waiver, Judge. She already has a copy. I sent her by email.
Got it. Okay.
It's only because
Be here now.
he's in the holdover. Yes, Judge.
Have you explained this to him?
So I explained it last time, Your Honor. I tried calling the holdover today because we were under the understanding that he had signed a waiver aside from that one. But if he can step out so he can understand what's going, because I know last time he was.
Please. Do you know the name that you're going? Okay. Morning, Mr. Groves.
Morning.
I'm bringing you out just to give you an update of what's going on with your case. You were wanted out of the state of Ohio for a probation violation I'm assuming that's weapons under disability.
Yes, I'm not familiar with the charge. I don't know what the Texas equivalent is.
The thing is this, Mr. Groves, is that when you sign for probation, no matter where you are, you need to read the fine print. Many times when you sign, you waive extradition by virtue of signing the agreement by saying, hey, if I ever take off, I will refuse to fight extradition. And that's what's happening now. So even if I wanted to give you a bond so you could go turn yourself into Ohio, I can't because you have already waived by virtue of signing for the probation. You understand? So that means that we give the demanding jurisdiction, which is Ohio here, 30 days to come get you. Okay? Okay?
Thank you, Judge.
All right. Thanks.
Thank you, Your Honor. May be excused.
Thanks, Ms. Morgan. Good morning, Ms. Hines.
Good morning.
Ma'am, you're charged with driving while intoxicated. You're facing up to 6 months in jail and or a $2,000 fine. We are going to do probable cause. You have the right to remain silent. Anything you say can or will be used against you. You have the right to have an attorney present. If you cannot afford one, one will be appointed to you, ma'am. Okay.
Thank you, Your Honor. Sorry, I'm having trouble loading it. Okay, here we go. On April 23rd, 2025, in Harris County, Texas, law enforcement officers were dispatched to a suicide. Upon arrival, law enforcement officers found the defendant in the driver's seat of a U-Haul truck, slumped over the steering wheel. The law enforcement officer observed bloodshot eyes, slurred speech, and unbalance from the defendant. The passenger, the co-defendant, was detained and a crack pipe fell out of the co-defendant's pocket. The law enforcement officers found foil with narcotics residue on the passenger seat of the vehicle. The defendant admitted to taking Xanax that morning and standard field sobriety tests were conducted. A 6 out of 6 was recorded on the HGN, a 2 out of 8 on the walk and turn, a 0 out of 4 on the one-leg stand. The defendant consented to a blood test. A wheel witness stated they saw the U-Haul in motion, pull into the driveway of a house across the street, and then walked over to the U-Haul and saw the defendant in the driver's seat.
You said they did field sobriety tests? They've taken them to the station? What?
Yes, Your Honor. Standard field sobriety tests were conducted. 6 out of 6 on the HGN, 2 out of 8 on the walk and turn, and a 0 out of 4 on the one-legged stand.
Blood test, breath test?
It was a consensual blood test.
Any private of the eyes?
No, Your Honor.
Signs I'm going to find that there's sufficient probable cause to go forward with the case. I don't know if you have a problem with drugs or alcohol. Now is the time for you to address it because I'm telling you, if it becomes a problem while you're on bond, I'm going to address it for you. And I promise you're not going to like the way that I do it. Do you understand?
Yes, sir.
I'm ordering you not to use alcohol, illegal drugs, unprescribed controlled medication. I'm going to test you and I'm going to test you probably within a week. Do you understand?
Yes, sir.
Do not use. If you have a problem, now is the time for you to do whatever you need to do to address it. You have the ability to hire a lawyer, ma'am.
No, I don't think so.
Okay, I need you to fill out an application for me and I'll take a look to see whether you qualify. I will have you go, oh, you said she has a valid license?
It is eligible, Your Honor.
Okay, you're also not allowed to drive unless you have valid liability insurance in your name, and that is also a condition of your bond. Do you understand, ma'am?
Yes, sir.
So I'm gonna have you go to Victoria, sign a reset. Deputy Miranda is gonna give you an application. I need you to fill it out for me. When you're done, you can bring it back this one. We'll take a look. Please.
Your Honor, I'm here on a plea this morning for Jose Chaconi.
Okay, are you ready?
Yes, Your Honor.
Do you mind bringing them up? Good morning, Mr. Traconis. You speak English, right?
Yes.
Sir, you're charged with driving while intoxicated. You're facing up to 6 months in jail and or a $2,000 fine. You've worked out an agreement. They're offering you 3 days in jail, credit for the 2 days that you've done. You need to understand that this charge will go on your record. It's going to be there for the rest of your life. The next time you get pulled over, you smell like alcohol or dope, and the officer's going to see this DWI. It's probably not going to go well for you. So don't give them the ammunition. Don't get into a car, even if you've had a sip. Do you understand?
I understand.
Bring up the right to a trial, right to compel witnesses to testify on your behalf, confront and cross-examine your accusers. If you're not a citizen, there are possible immigration consequences. You can be deported, excluded from the country, denied naturalization, or give up the right to appeal. Once you plead guilty, there's no change in this. Is this what you want to do?
Yes,
How do you plead to the offense, guilty or not guilty?
guilty.
Mr. Traconis, I want you to understand that from now on, what we're doing today, you're facing a minimum of 30 days in jail from now on if you ever pick up another DWI. Not to mention a $6,000 surcharge that tacks on to you. And if you don't pay it every day or every $100 you owe, you sit 1 day in jail. Do you understand?
Yes, sir.
Okay. I'm going to suspend your license for 90 days. Do not drive until you get a license. Good luck to you, sir.
Your Honor, just if I may mention, I just wanted to notify the court that we will be applying for
Occupational? Okay. Sure. Okay, I understand that you're going to have to, when you apply for an occupational license, you will have to do treatment. So, what we normally do is we have you do a TRAS, and then whatever the TRAS says is what you end up doing, and you have to get an interlock. So I don't know whether probation is something that you want, where I don't suspend your license, or whether you would just want to do this, because you're going to undergo basically probation-esque terms regardless, if we give you an occupation. So, okay?
Yes, sir.
Okay, all right, good luck. Good morning, is it Haran?
Aaron.
Heron? Ms. Heron, you're charged with interference with the duties of a public servant. You're facing up to 6 months in jail and or a $2,000 fine. We're going to do probable cause. You have the right to remain silent. Anything you say can and will be used against you. You have the right to have an attorney present. If you cannot afford one, one will be appointed to you, ma'am.
Thank you, Judge. This one was a 2B. On September 28th, 2024, a law enforcement officer was dispatched to a family disturbance at a residence in Harris County, Texas. The caller reported she observed the couple arguing in a truck, children crying, and heard a loud bang as if someone got struck in the head. The law enforcement officer observed the truck with one functioning headlight, matching the description that was given him regarding the truck. The law enforcement officer observed a juvenile outside of the truck with red puffy eyes. The law enforcement officer made contact with defendant 1, Ms. Heron, and defendant 2. The defendant stated there was no altercation or arguments that occurred, and that the law enforcement officer was talking to the wrong people and that they were okay. The law enforcement observed an odor of marijuana. The defendant's vehicle was sitting outside of a random residence at night, and the defendant stated the vehicle belonged to a friend.
Which defendant? Who?
I just said the defendant stated the vehicle belonged to a friend, and then there's defendant 1, which is referring to Ms. Heron for the next sentence. Ms. Heron refused to ID herself and stated she was going inside of the house. The law enforcement officer told defendant 1, Ms. Heron, to stay put until the conclusion of the domestic violence investigation. Defendant 2 exited the vehicle, stated, "No, I am not," when advised, and he was detained and pulled up his pants before getting in a bladed stance. The law enforcement officer grabbed the defendant 2's right wrist. Defendant 2 pulled away. The law enforcement officer grabbed defendant 2's shirt, telling him to stop as they fell to the ground. The defendant 1, Ms. Heron, pulled the law enforcement officer's arm and pushed the law enforcement officer's chest, preventing the law enforcement officer from restraining defendant 2. The law enforcement officer took out an electrical conducted weapon, told defendant 1 to get out of the way, Ms. Heron, and defendant 1 continued to refuse and push law enforcement officer's chest. Ms. Heron ID'd herself with her name and date of birth, which was confirmed with the Texas driver's license.
Ms. Heron, don't.
Nice.
Now's not the time. I've got a bunch of DAs here. Whatever you say, they're going to use it against you. You will have the opportunity to fight your case. Just now's not the time. I'm going to find that there's sufficient probable cause to go forward with the case. Do you have the ability to hire a lawyer, ma'am?
I don't.
Okay, we can have you fill out an application. I'll take a look to see whether you qualify. I need to know everything about you, how much money you make, what kind of job you have, and then we'll take a look to see whether you qualify. I see that the co-defendant in this case has a valid warrant for his arrest. I think that there's still a warrant open for his arrest. Also on a felony warrant as well. I'm ordering you as a condition of your bond not to have any contact with the co-defendant in this case. Do you understand? If you do, I'm going to put you in jail. No more PR bonds for you. Do you understand? Okay. So Deputy Miranda is going to give you an application. I'm going to have you go to Victoria, sign a reset, and then we'll have you take your seat in the jury box while you fill it out. Okay? Please.